transited to capitalism. Now, in capitalism, the most significant factor is private ownership of the means of production, and maximization of profit is the soul of capitalism. So under capitalism, you have people who own the means of production. Today, we are represented by the likes of Dangote. All these people who own the means of production, they own factories. They represent the bourgeois class. There was a time that they were in control of their factories. They personally went to their factories, paid everybody because their factories were very small. The times of Ford, the original Ford, Mr. Quakers, the very people who started their industries in the 18th century, they would go to the industries, supervise, pay, take attendance. But as capital got more sophisticated, a new class of people now emerged. The people who know how to control capital and extract surplus from workers, the middle class, the managers, they appeared in industry. Now, some lecturers, intellectuals, sociologists will tell you that Karl Marx talked about two classes in society. He has seen the working class, but there is a middle class which is an arm of the capitalist class extended towards workers to extract surplus from them. On behalf of who? On behalf of the bourgeois class. This class will take seriously for aligning with the bourgeois class, because when the revolution occurs, workers will draw the line of battle and attack them alongside the bourgeois class. This revolution will sweep the bourgeois class away as well as the middle class. So if you tell me that Karl Marx did not talk about the middle class, I will disagree with you. But he served the middle class as a transient class, a class that will eventually disappear, a class that will go away. A class that stands on the socialist class to exploit the working class. And Karl Marx says, when this revolution, it will, that's another mode. What we mean by socialism, the socialist mode is where the workers, the hitherto subject class, will now lord it over the bourgeois class, who are now in the minority. They will control industries, control what is to be produced and how what is produced should be used. The workers will now be in charge of the state paraphernalia and use it to hold down the bourgeoisie. And Karl Marx says, when that occurs for a long time, and the bourgeois class has been kept in check, there may be no need for the state anymore, because we'll be heading to a classless society, a society in which no one exploits anybody, a class in which class differences will disappear, a society in which you can decide to be a teacher in the morning, a farmer in the evening. Most of what you generate will be controlled by you. That is the last stage of development that he calls scientific communism. Scientific communism. That society does not exist for now. It remains utopian. It exists in the mind only. It is a mental construct of how it ought to be. It is an ideal situation. Only the mind can understand it. Although we are still heading towards it, there are societies where you don't own cars anymore. You don't own bicycles anymore. You use a car wherever you are going to. You stop it, park the car there. Somebody takes it from there. And bicycles, you chain it and leave the key. Somebody else comes to. Things are being owned in common in many. They see it as some kind of welfareism, socialism, moving gradually towards what Karl Marx was talking about. That's the gist of it. Now let's get to conflict. Karl Marx sees conflict in the division of society into various classes. Let us look at the capitalist class. Or we might even begin from the slavery mode. What is the of the conflict that is generated? How it is and who benefits the generation of surplus? The slaves, they are free of charge, they produce everything. And their masters live in castles because they have soldiers to offer them protection, they feel safe. They drink champagne from morning, they eat all kinds of very expensive food, enjoyable lifestyles, and the slaves live like pigs. Feudalism. The aristocrats live like kings in their castles. And then they have the serfs, free men. They are free, they are not slaves. You own land and you work on the land. But you have to depend on the aristocrats to offer you security because the aristocrats own soldiers, horses, swords. They equip them to offer security to people. And for that security, if you had cattle, you give 10% cattle. If you are producing 10% of it. If all over the nation, that is how surplus was generated and channeled to the aristocrats who enjoyed better standards of living. You come on that. Let me use myself as an example. I now have saved some money from my salaries, and lecturing in a university, I go and buy 5 photocopying machines and mount them strategically inside the campus. And I employ 5 girls to man the photocopying machines. At the end of the month, they submit all that they have produced to me, and I will pay them salaries. Do you think I will give them everything they produce because they did the work? No, that's where the exploitation comes in. I will not put myself in the position of the owner of the business to do my profit. What do I need to keep aside for the maintenance of the machines? What do I need to keep aside for payment of rent? What do I pay the workers? As little as possible. You go to socialism, workers are now in charge of the process of production, and they're using that power of hitherto bourgeois class. They oppress them. It is only when we arrive at scientific communism that classes will disappear. The Jehovah's Witness people have will stay with man and will not attack man, where there will be no conflict and God's kingdom will come down on earth. So when I teach my students, I tell them, you don't have to quarrel with Marxists like myself, because we believe that Jesus Christ and Karl Marx were heading towards the same destination, peace on earth. While Jesus Christ chose the route of conversion Karl Marx chose the route of revolution. At the end of it all, we will have a society where you don't have classes, and exploitation will stop, and conflict will stop. Then we ask the question, what is the source of the conflict in the capitalist system? Profit, surplus. The example I gave you with myself, what I should pay to the 5 girls I employed. It goes on to the entire capitalist system. The capitalist system channels surplus, riches towards a few, while it correspondingly channels poverty towards the masses. The richer the bourgeoisie get, the masses get. Why? Because we have a quantum, a surplus. Let us say it is 100%. Use a particular industry as your example. You have 100% profit. And the owners of the industry now begin to tinker with how to distribute it. Workers are more in number. Workers are more in number. But the owners of the industry will first of all collect 60% of what is the profit, because they are the owners, very few in number. When they are taking 60%, what is remaining? 40%. Then they look at their managers. The managers are important to them because they are the ones who interface with workers, supervise them, and force them to work and extract surplus. That's why they provide such working conditions as chauffeur-driven car, a house in a GRA for you as a manager. They are calculating the profit you will bring in. So 40% is remaining. And they'll go into that 40% and take 25 to take care of managers. But the workers are the largest group. What is remaining for them? When you have 40% and you take 25, what is remaining? 15. And that is what they will distribute amongst workers to pay them every month as salaries. And expect that they will go home happy. Capital says, as long as these things are happening to human beings, there is no peace. Why? Human beings have consciousness. The little boys who control cows, they'll take their herds to a market. And those who work at the slaughter will select 5 to 10 to slaughter for that day, and the little boys take the cows back. The following market day, they will come back with the same cows that noticed that some of them were taken and slaughtered. They will not run away. They will also be with their masters, and some will be selected and slaughtered. You can imagine me as your lecturer taking you to a particular place where you have these people who market on human rights. They pick 2 or 3 of you and slaughter and sell gas. And the following, after that this week, the next week, I say, follow me, all of you. We are going to that same place. When you know that professors may not be respected, you will not follow me. You have consciousness. So what human beings are conscious when you are exploiting them. They can be ask in itself, what is happening? Why are we not having so much food? Why can't we send our children to good schools? Look at the kind of work we are doing. Our problem must be these people who own the industries. They don't reward us accordingly. And if we keep complaining and they don't listen, then we will think about what to do. Class for itself. We will design strategies, strikes, revolution, to do whatever we need to do in order to increase our salaries or bring this system down. That's the conflict. Can the conflict be resolved? The answer is no. If you listen to somebody like Frederick Taylor, when he was proposing his theory of scientific management, he said he wants to design a way by which workers will work very hard, make more profit. From that profit, owners of industry will get more money, workers will get more money, and there will be peace in industry. He misunderstood the source of conflict because when you have the 60%, 25%, and 15%, if you go to touch it, somebody will cry. If you go to touch it, somebody will shout. If you want to increase workers' salary, what you give to them, remember you are giving them 15%. If you want to increase it to 20%, you must either reduce what the managers are receiving or you reduce what the owners are getting. I don't know whether you understand that. Now, industry, they have 60%. They want to maximize profit. If possible, they want 100%. The managers want to be recognized, want to be remunerated according to what their profession says. But you have 100%. Who is going to adjust this thing without hurting anybody? If you want to increase management, you will either reduce from the workers or you reduce owners of industry. If you want to increase workers' salary, you will go to what the bourgeoisie are enjoying or what managers are. So in this case, we have not only different interests, but contradicting interests. That is the source of the conflict. Whatever workers gain is as loss. To increase it from 30 to 70%. Look at how the governors were grumbling, members of the bourgeois class. Why? What they would have used for development, is now being taken away and given to workers. No, we cannot pay. Is it your father's money? That is the conflict. And the workers are saying, we go to work with to go. At the end of the day, we are not remunerated by this 70%. You have used taxes from the back to drop the money again back to the bourgeoisie. Is the source of the conflict. So how does the conflict play out? Remember, this is what is happening to our economy. Where we have oil and oil wealth, we draw it from all over the nation and send it to Abuja, and members of the bourgeois class begin to redistribute through their routes. And those routes are not accessible to many members of the working class and the masses. So each time you hear about strikes, the conflict is on. Each time you hear about demonstrations, the conflict is on. Each time you hear about political turmoil, the conflict is on. Why do we have the conflict? Because of the inequality built into the system and the unequal distribution of rewards. Has anybody tried to assassinate me because he wants to be a professor? No. My salary, 100, many of you do not know. Has somebody tried to assassinate somebody like Wike before? So many times. Why? The 17 billion that he controls as resources. If we understand Marxism and go into equity in rewards, distribution of resources, for instance, by some kind of divine intervention. I say divine intervention because the people who are already benefiting from the gravy will never let it happen. That Jesus Christ comes down and he says, I want to give you peace, give unto you. Nobody should receive more than 500,000 naira a month because that's what professors are receiving. And we use education to grade everybody. Even as a governor, your salary will be according to what you have in the educational system. Nigeria will be as peaceful as, which country is so peaceful now? Where is this country where you have a lot of banks and money? Switzerland. Nigeria may be as peaceful as that. There will be no need for political thuggery. I will not hire thugs because my salary, I already know it, that's what everybody is receiving. We will not peace. That is why this year is a structural theory. We have conflict because societies are divided into classes. What is the problem with classes? They have different and irreconcilable interests. And that's how the whole society operates. Religion. Look at the Nigerian members of the political elite and the rich. They send out their children to reach universities in Canada. If they ever want to come back, positions will be reserved for them at the central bank, NNPC, all the oil companies, and top government offices. They come back to replace their parent members of the bourgeois class. The middle class, I say, is in danger. We are not many again. Some of us managed to send our children to Ghana. By the time they are coming back, we'll go and kneel down as professors before bloody counselors, begging them. Oh, it's so annoying. Begging them to help our children to get employment. Why are the children of the poor attend nursery schools under fruit trees, go to public primary schools, go to public secondary schools, go to public universities in Nigeria, and we allow them 1 year of false consciousness of being employed under the program of NYSC. And you kick them out, tell them you are on your own. No social security, not go ask your parents at the level of all right. Go to where worship. You see ACs everywhere. People pay tithe in dollars. Then go to the villages, you see them drumming with only one drum, one room church, sweating. because our economy has divided us into classes and created inequality. But remember that every class is trying to protect its position. If you go by what Ahmad said, a revolution would have occurred in Nigeria. But they are using education as a tool. They have weaponized education. They've weaponized hunger. They have weaponized ethnic differences, religious differences. And they keep holding us down to maintain their position there. While the people down are struggling to go up and join them, there will not be peace. Conflict will be always as highly prevalent as can be. Karl Marx has explained conflict using class inequality. He's logical. Why? He located the problem of conflict in the existence of classes and the inequality that exists between the classes. Now, what is happening? He is using the same class differences to find a solution. Conflict will only go down when you don't have classes anymore, when you don't exploit people anymore, when there is equity in the distribution of profit. That will know peace. So why do we have conflict? We have conflict because our society is a class-based society, and classes have different and contradicting interests. So there is what you call inter-class conflict. The middle class versus the lower class, or the lower class versus the upper class, inter-class. Then you have intra-class conflicts, wicked versus sin. Theology versus Azul, Godfather versus Godson, ABC versus PDP, PDP versus the upper class are fighting amongst and it's always for the poor to experience this conflict, where if it were possible, we could arm them and let them finish themselves so that we can rest. Are there criticisms on Karl Marx's perspective? Yes, of course, there are several criticisms. There are some who have argued that the economy is not the only structure that has influence on all other. They refer to that as economic determinism. That's what they accuse Karl Marx of and say economic determinism does not hold much. There are other things that can determine the position of people beyond the economy, and so many. But we are studying theories so that we can apply them as intellectuals. In writing your dissertation, in writing your project, in writing your thesis, which theory are you going to use? Which topic can you use Marxism for? The Marxist conflict theory. If you have a theory and it does not mark time, now that you know what Marxism is, can you suggest a topic where we can say, yes, this theory can fit in? Let us discuss a little bit. Go from here and there, embrace your I want you, can you hear me? Who can hear me? Who wants to say something?
I hear you, sir.
Aha. Can you raise a topic in conflict that we can say, in addressing this problem, we will adopt the Marxian theory of conflict? Unmute yourself and say something. Everybody is quiet. Take the microphone.
The last research I did, I was not just looking at a theory. I looked at a theory that has a causal effect, another theory that has a resolution on how to resolve the issue. Like I placed my emphasis on human trafficking, and I said I used the conflict theory because conflict theory talks about class variance, class difference, and I felt that the upper class are usurping the commonwealth of the society, thereby making the lower class to be subjected to poverty. And as a result of that poverty, you see them going into crimes in order to stay alive. And I now use the fundamentalist theory, functional structural fundamentalist theory, propounded by, I think, this French scientist. Forgotten his name. And that theory is saying that no society can be free from deviance, that every society has norms, but they cannot be free from deviance. Yes, Durkheim, yes, Emily Durkheim. So he said that they must be deviant. So I was saying that if this theory that serves as a deterrent is put in place, it will be subjected to both the upper class and the lower class. So the upper class that try to usurp this commonwealth, they will be tried, and those that are found wanting will be imprisoned, and it will serve as a deterrent to other members of the upper class. And the lower class, those that choose to take time because of the fact that they feel they must survive, they also will be tried if they are found wanting, and they will be punished because they are deviating from the common norm of the society. So I try to bring the two together, the conflict and
If I were there when you were writing that paper, I would have fought you very well. We don't exactly mix with the Durkheim functionality. You were right. You make sense as an intellectual, somebody that's writing a paper. What he said is very, very relevant. If you look at child trafficking, Marxism and Marxists will use the Marxist approach to see the act as a coping strategy developed by the poor. And the poor because they've been exploited by members of the upper. So where does the problem begin? The exploitation and the subjection of these people to their current level of poverty, forcing them to develop this coping strategy or selling their children. So how will you solve the problem? You must go up and force the upper class to alleviate poverty in order to stop. What you said about Durkheim is also true. Deviance will always be there because deviance has functions to perform in every. So the topic he raised is very is apt. If you are looking at child trafficking, you can use Marxism to address it. If you are looking at let's go international. The invasion of Ukraine by Russia, Marxism has something to say that because international interpretation, the relationship between wealthy nations and the poor nations. Can you imagine that the United States of America is now so much interested in solving the problem. And you heard Trump saying, this war would have lasted only 2 weeks without our arms. So, Mr. Trump, why did America supply arms? Now that the settlement is on, you will know why, because they are asking for areas inside Ukraine to extract mineral resources. So it was mineral resources that we played useless games and use the lives of common people to sacrifice. Why? Because we want to share the resources of Ukraine between Russia and America. International politics, Marxism, captured very well by Emmanuel. If we come down to Nigeria, you can look at most of the problems we are a class, even what you might refer to as religious conflicts. Look underneath, you will see the hands of look at the Northeast. Wherever you have tea, wherever you have gold, there are some members of the upper class, including retired generals, who want to mine these minerals. And then the 4 members of the, we have our farms here, we have this, we have that. If you must establish industries, you must give us this, you must give us that, you must give us. What will be the reaction of the member of the group you want to make? You are going to, by asking us to give you this and give you that. We have enough money to go and invite the bandits. The bandits will come and flush everybody, come in. You know the banditry so much. Use the military, use the military. You are not the issue. The issue is the class-based structure that we have and the ability of one class to claim more than what belongs to them in the resources God has given to this nation. If you look at the budgets recently, political problems recently, you can use Marxism to. I hope everybody is understanding. Can I give you time to ask any question? Any hand raised? I'm afraid all of you are keeping quiet.
Prof, good afternoon, sir. It is not
it's
that
clear, sir.
We are following you.
You are following me. All right, because each time I lecture, my students are sitting.
We are following you.
I wanted to. Remove your voice there. I want to hear from our language. Who that group? All right. Let's move forward. Max. Now we are going to look adopted the same theoretical perspective, structural theory of conflict. Can I spell that for you? R-A-L-P-H, graph. R-A-L-P-H. I'm spelling so that you can Google and do your own research.
Repeat that, Prof. The line is breaking. Repeat that, Prof. The line is breaking. Repeat the spelling.
P-H.
It's really breaking. I don't know if any other people.
Prof, your voice is
on
breaking.
you.
It's breaking, Prof.
I think the problem is from your end, though. Because of you, I've gone to buy this Starlink, and Starlink doesn't have interruption. If your phone is Nokia 18, change it.
Prof, we have been following from the start of the lecture now when it started breaking. So I don't think it's a question system we are using. Wouldn't mind, Prof, respell that word again.
RALPH, wrath. Then we go to Garendorf, DHRENDORF.
Who got the spelling? Please you write for us, so we didn't get it.
I don't worry, the concept will send it to you. Don't worry. Just know that we are talking about Ralph Darendorf. Let me give you a quotation from him so that you understand before I explain. Darendorf says, different people have different occupations. The different occupations have different status. People's status increase or decrease according to the link it has with its authority. We are providing different positions and we have different statuses. My status increases or decreases according to the link it has with authority. Let's use the Vice Chancellor to represent authority in this university. My link to the Vice Chancellor, I'm a professor. Your link to the Vice Chancellor, you're a student. So who has higher status? Who has lower status? You. All right, let's go to Ralph Darendorf. Ralph Darendorf was one of the sociologists who looked at Karl Marx, read him thoroughly, and told Karl Marx that he was very, very wrong in proposing that there will be a revolution that will end class inequality and class exploitation. Why? Darendorf says he is making his argument based on the fact that he is looking at modern capitalist society in which three things have happened. Number one, the bourgeois class is no longer a class. It has many factions. You don't expect them to stick together and react as a class. Let's use Nigeria as a typical example. If you are looking at the bourgeoisie in Nigeria, you have retired generals, then one, you have top politicians, then there. You have people who own industries, there. You have some of them that we call comprador bourgeois members. Comprador in French means trade. People who make money, not by producing anything, but by trading on what is already produced. These are all factions, all the same bourgeois. Do you expect them to have the same interest? No. You come to the middle class, they have also been divided into segments. There are people you call foremen, supervisors. These are people who are aiming to be like managers. They don't want to identify with workers anymore. Then you look at the working class that is oppressed, and you think that they are together. No, they are no longer. The decomposition took place both at the working class. Even the people you call trade union officials that are supposed to present their views have turned around to exploit their members because they have developed the spirit of capitalism. They now see their members as sources of funds to live like capitalism. And it is happening right before us. You see union officials. We collect dues. If ASU were to bring out the money they collect from lecturers every month, they can afford to pay all lecturers one extra month's salary every year. They should ask that question. What do you use it for? We are going from there. We are traveling for this meeting. We are traveling for that meeting. By the time you know it, they go and make arrangements with $1. I think the lecturers here need their laptops. If you can find a supplier that can give them all laptops, they will pay gradually every month. And then the lecturers are trying. Inside that money that they are paying, they are building their profit and building the profit of the supplier. Yes, you pay over a long period, but every month the lump sum comes in. The supplier will take his own and shift the others to the executive. The executive will have to check one for one. So he says, revolution that will end all revolutions, you are making a mistake. What do we suffer from? Rav says it is authority that we are all asking for. Every organization contains two groups: the superordinates or order givers and subordinates, order takers. Whenever you ask yourself, am I order giver or order taker? If you are the order giver, you are the one who is issue instructions. And the order takers take the instructions and they obey. Authority is what we are all struggling for, wherever you are. If you are in PDP, if you are in ABC, you want to be in that class that has the authority to give when is the order given? 3 a.m. You call people for meeting by 6 o'clock. Everybody makes noise. You tell them, okay, we are taking decision. They dispatch 3 p.m. What you decide will be announced by 8 a.m. And those who attend the meeting, when they are what is the there was even a case, I think we can cite it, if they like, they didn't come and speak. Kings and chiefs from what we call this was quarreling with the nation. 3 a.m. 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 3 a Chibidon. And the chiefs came to government house to plead with the government to find ways of making peace with this their son. That there was no need following money. Because on the news, that the traditional election on the side came to go and pretend to be their son to in that situation, you don't and people think about it. And that generation, society is divided into authority givers and authority takers. In authority nations, there is a fundamental conflict between those who have power and those who do not have power. Remember, power is different from authority. When you are exercising your power, you are getting people to do what you want them to do, irrespective of whether they like it or not. Authority, the people are doing what you have said because they believe you have the right to tell them what to do. So wherever you look in society, look up. TV. Wherever you have in society, there are two categories struggling between who has the authority to issue orders and those who are meant to accept the orders. Now he says, when these issues emerge, they may emerge as little problems. But they grow in quantum, and when they threaten the existence of the entire system, there is bound to be a reshuffle and a rearrangement, an agreement by which one group will concede power or consider some authority to the group protesting. And that may douse this tension. It does not solve the problem. That, or the concession that you have made, sets the trigger for another conflict. Because those who lost authority will be struggling to get back the authority, and those who gained the authority will be struggling to retain the authority. So Prof. Darendorf tells us that conflict is cyclical. It will come and go. It will rise and fall, but it will never go away. There is no one revolution that will end all conflict. Conflict is in the structure of society because society is structured in such a way where people have unequal authority. Some are authority givers and some are authority takers. Some are order givers and some are order takers. As long as you have that, there will always be conflict. And whatever you do to manage the imbalance sets the stage for another round of conflict. And that is why we have moved away from conflict resolution to conflict management. No conflict is ever resolved. So we have the by Prof. Darendorf. When you read, you will get much about what he said. Are there stones that we can throw at Prof. Darendorf? So many. By stones, I mean criticism. So many. Number one, when you say authority and people are struggling for authority, what are you talking about? What is authority? And Karl Marx will remind him, remove the economic benefits in authority. Nobody will struggle for it again. So when you want to correct me as Karl Marx, and you say the economy is not everything, prove me that when there is no gain in acquiring authority, that people can still go for authority. So you ran round and read me and ended up on the same spot, on the same argument that I am making, that what happens in the economy influences the structure of any society.
Hello, Prof. We can hear you.
Because I didn't want you to hear me. Now we can move on to Robert Merton. Robert Merton is also, you can spell Robert, and then you have Merton. Can I just discuss with you and then come back? Just give me 2 minutes.
Let me open. The last meeting. Yeah.
Attendance. We are keeping attendance. The University of Port Harcourt rule is that if you don't put up 70% attendance, you will not write any examination. If you don't put up 70% attendance, you don't write any examination. We know that you are far away from us, but we want you to dedicate every Friday. If you are in your office, switch on your phone, register in attendance so that we can record it for you. As we are recording the lectures, we are also recording attendance. So please try and be present at every lecture. We don't want anybody to accuse us of calling people together and issuing them degrees without pushing them through the intellectual rigors that is required to get a master's degree. So please, the school fees that you have paid, okay, none of you has even paid, some of you have paid, entitles you to whatever is in my brain
to transfer into yours. But you cannot do that if you are always absent. Try, please. And from Monday, let us receive all the forms that we have given you. The graduate school is putting pressure on us to have you fully registered. Remember, you are not a student of the center alone. You are a student of the University of Port Harcourt through the graduate school. Your degree comes from the graduate school. It comes from Unibot through the graduate school, where the center sends your name. So please, put up regular attendance. Kingsley, I can see you. And fill your forms and return from Monday, please. Right, I was talking about Robert Martin, who studied anatomy. While my friend in the class was making reference to Durkheim, I think Durkheim. Durkheim. Is there here? My brain is running blank. All right, Durkheim. And Durkheim was one of the sociologists who tried to explain crime in society. And he says, crawls out of one of these devils. I'm going to wait for the lecturer. What action you need to take? Take it. He announced rules are shoved aside by everybody. Breakthrough. I don't hammer.